This is the Troutbitten podcast.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Yeah, Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
It's about trout.
Wild trout. This is Troutbitten.
This is the Troutbitten podcast, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Dominic Swantowski. I'm the owner of Troutbitten and the author of Troutbitten.com. So, how was it? How many did you catch? This is always a question for every fisherman, right? Whether I'm talking to my friends here about a fishing trip from last week, or as I walked in the door this evening, my wife asked me the same question. How many fish did you catch? It's a fair question because that's the goal out there, usually. We go fishing to catch fish. But the answer we give can also reveal a different story. You could say, well, I caught 8 this morning, but I missed a handful underneath. And when I was fishing dry flies, I had a few refusals. And while fishing streamers, another 3 fish slammed my fly, but they just wouldn't eat it. And I lost the biggest trout of the day when he popped off during the fight. So every angler has these same kinds of stories. And I think we'd all agree that the primary goal out there, the first and most important goal of fishing, is to fool a fish, to make a trout believe that what you're offering is worthwhile, to trick a trout. Honestly, I think that's a large part of why most of us choose trout fishing in the first place, because as a species, they're picky and hard to fool. So we convince a trout or make them curious enough to eat the fly, or at least almost eat it. But then, as we all know, what happens next is variable. Sometimes we're late on the hook set. Sometimes trout reject the fly at the last second. We've all seen this. Or maybe the fish wins a quick battle and spits the fly. But all of those incidentals don't change the fact that we fooled a fish, even though it didn't end up in the net, maybe. So we achieved that primary goal. And I think everyone here counts fish to some extent. But what are we really keeping track of, and why? I like to say that every fisherman counts. I mean, you know if you catch 0, if you catch 1 or 2 or maybe 3 fish. We all know that, right? And when the numbers are simple, we've counted. We know. I keep track of things as a measurement of what's working and what is not. And to me, the stats are a lot more detailed than just fish to the net. What a trout ate, where he ate it, how he took the fly, and how maybe I was fishing the fly when he ate it too. Those are the stats that matter just as much. So long ago, while night fishing, I started keeping track of trout caught, trout lost, and trout missed. I still do this. I might say that my stats for the night were 10, 2, and 8. I don't know. Something like that. I still do this. And as I said a few minutes ago, I think most anglers do this to some extent. The count doesn't need to be perfect or precise. But when we miss a trout, that's good information because we fooled a fish. We did achieve that primary goal. And when we lose a trout, we can be even more sure that we gained their interest too. We can miss them, we can lose them. Either way, we fooled the fish. So caught, lost, and missed. Why do we catch them? And why do we miss or lose some trout? More importantly, what does that tell us? And how does it inform our next change? That's what we're here to talk about. Got the guys with me. Josh Darling is in the house, trying to heal up. What are you doing, bud?
Just coughing my lungs out, guys.
That's how you get rid of the disease, buddy, right?
That's right.
The infection, you cough it out.
Yeah, I gave it to Trevor. That's why he's not here tonight. Trevor and I spent the weekend out towards Bill. We were shooting an archery tournament, and so
no truck this year either, huh?
No truck this year. No.
Is it cool? You have a good time, just like last year?
Yeah, it's
bigger than ever.
Yeah, it was huge. Really rainy, really muddy. We put in a lot of miles. So it was a lot of fun.
You see Bo out there?
Bo was not there. I think Bo was hunting bear in Canada this week.
Bo Mortonic. You still doing some video work for him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we
Nice.
shot some stuff this past hunting season. I think the plan is to continue. We'll see.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like what you've done with him. Hey, Bill Dell is in the house. What's up, Billy?
Howdy.
What do you know about losing big trout?
I know that I'm getting good at it. Good at losing big trout.
You were using Joey's favorite trout bait the other day, but you were using it for bass.
Yeah, the old Ned.
Ned rig. I was talking to Joey again yesterday, and he was saying something about a friend of his from school and not catching big fish. And he's like, I told him what catches big trout. He said, that Ned rig.
That Ned rig. That's what I'm going to have. I'm going to get out there and might throw a couple in my pack, and I can fish that thing on a mono rig.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've tried. You need a really stout rod to even fish like the 1/8 ounce. They have a 1/10 ounce, 1/10 ounce mushroom head. But the Ned rig weighs quite a bit too. The rubber bait itself.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
You can zip that thing across the lake without any weight, with just like a B10S hook in it.
It's a lot of weight. I've done it. All right, let's get to Matt Grobe out in Montana. Just saw your girls. How you doing?
I'm good,
That's Matt's clicker.
My clicker.
He brought the clicker out. This is a Matt Grobe kind of episode. Do you count every day? Do you click every day?
Yeah, I never leave home without my clicker.
So what I said in the intro about having stats and, keeping track of things matters to you, huh?
Yeah, but only personally.
I know what you mean. Yep.
Some folks will be like, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah, like who cares?
I just like to keep myself in check, man. Maybe because I haven't gone out in 10 days, I got to make sure I still got it or I don't got it.
The truth is, too, you like the sound. You like the sound.
Oh, of course. I told you.
The clicker.
Okay, people, if I'm walking over the bank and someone's down below and they just hear the faint click, click, click.
You said your nickname is Numbers.
Numbers. My buddy gave me that nickname.
You've been the same dude since I've met you in that way, right?
Oh, yeah. I love Numbers, man.
Yeah.
So he screams numbers when he sees me.
Hey, numbers.
But I think it's in a friendly, competitive way that keeps you striving for more. I think that's what the keeping track of does, whether you miss them, lost them, or landed them.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about it in this episode because I think it's important. I think it's important to challenge yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Personally, and I know it's a hobby. I'm not saying you can't, not to enjoy it. But I think if you want to get better at anything, you have to have that edge a little bit to strive to get better. And I think there's no better way than keeping track of, how many fish you're catching throughout the day.
Right on.
And I think it's easy to skew your numbers if you don't have a clicker.
I know, too. Well, that's why, too, what we'll talk about, I start keeping track of fish lost and fish missed because, again, it's good data. And if I keep losing a bunch, if I lose more than I land.
Are those two separate clickers? You carry 3 clickers with you?
No, I don't. I don't keep track of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I don't keep track of the other two. Personally, mentally I do, but not clicker wise.
Dell, I did have a clicker, just like Matt's, and no, I never had 3 clickers. But I don't know. I just keep it. Like I said too, I don't really care if it's super precise because again, it's not to outdo anybody else. Like Matt, it's always been kind of a personal thing, but it was something that kept me focused when I was night fishing. So we'll talk about it more when we get into it.
I got a quick story real quick.
Yeah, please.
So we're, it was like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe not that long ago, but I'm out there fishing with Sloop. And I give him crap all the time because I'm like, well, how was it, man? And, he'll be like, very good, but he doesn't associate it with anything.
Yeah.
So I was giving him a hard time. And the other day we were fishing and I heard the faint. And I was like, what the hell is that? And there's
clicker.
Sloop got a clicker, man.
You really rubbed off on him now.
Sloop's got a clicker, and now he's going hog wild with it. I get number reports all day long.
Do you? That's awesome. Slooper with a clicker. That's dangerous.
Sloop's got a clicker.
It is.
That's going to be my grievance. Sloop with a clicker.
Yeah. Maybe. Let's do this question. Luann Redmond from Colorado. This is exactly why I kind of chose this topic. I got a list, you guys know, of a bunch of stuff that we could talk about in the podcast and maybe stuff we wanted to follow up on. And this question came in that Saturday evening, I think. And I was like, oh, that leads us right into the topic. Somebody want to read it?
I got it.
Yep.
So Luann Redmond from Colorado. Hello, Dominic. My fly fishing friends and I listen to all your podcasts and watch the videos. Your dog is the star of the show, by the way. Anyway, our group has some friendly banter about what is a catch. We all know that we wish to do no harm to the trout, so if they slip off the hook, shouldn't that count anyway? Love the show. Keep up the great work. All the best from Colorful, Colorado.
Count it.
Colorado.
Count it.
Count it.
So there you count
it. Don't count it. It's not a catch. You can count it.
I mean, what's the distance here on the slip, I guess, is my question.
Count it as a lost trout.
Well, if I turn them, I'm counting it.
That's it.
They looked at
Really?
my.
If he
They looked at
spooks
the-
him, he counts him. He's like, I could have caught that fish.
If I saw it.
Yeah.
Even if I spook one, I saw one. You know,
I saw him. I could have caught
If I really wanted to.
I mean, I think if it's splashing
Yeah.
and your rod's bent and you're going in for the scoop, you know what I mean? And it's splashing in the zone of your net. I mean, I could maybe consider that a catch.
Not a catch.
No?
A catch is, well, whatever. We're
mean,
giving
just-
opinions, right?
Yeah, for
My
sure.
opinion is a catch is a catch. I was thinking about this just now on the way home. A catch means basically you could have killed that trout if you wanted to. Like it is in your possession. You
it's
have
in your hand.
Yeah. You see, it's in your hand. I don't care if maybe the hook slips out and you have actually technically never touch it, but it was in your net. You know what I'm saying? That you have control of that.
That
You
makes
have
sense.
caught that trout. Its life basically is in your hands.
So that
You
gets a
can decide.
click.
That's a click. No, for me, that's a click for a catch. That's what a catch is. And like
Okay.
she asked us, she said they got friendly banter, and that's what we're having here. Like you're saying, hey, if it's close enough, I got my rod bent, whatever. To me, if he pops off, then I'm counting that as a lost fish. And maybe that's why I started separating all these things in the first place. Obviously, I think that the lost count, I'd like that to be the lowest number. Catch count, I'd like that to be the highest number. Somewhere in the middle would be like, I missed a few as well, but I don't want too many lost fish. Anyway, I'd say those are lost fish, what she's talking about. If they slip the hook, shouldn't that count anyway? No, it's not a catch.
I think
the
if
word catch.
I think if
Yeah.
I'm looking for it depends on who I'm giving the information to, I think. Like if I'm
Mhm.
keeping it for myself, I lost the fish because I did something to not get it into the net. If I'm going to tell you guys how the fishing was today
Yeah.
and I got a fish almost to the net, I'm probably going to count them in the numbers,
Oh.
Like I'm not going to give you that. It doesn't feel helpful to give you that information that
Yeah.
I screwed up the very end of it.
Yeah. And I want to point out right away here in this podcast topic, like I'm not saying everybody should do it my way. I'm not. I'm just sharing the way I think about it. I know you guys don't. We don't share that. We don't say I was 10, 2, and 8 or whatever. We don't have those numbers, right?
Sometimes
we
at
say,
night
hey,
we do.
I caught this
Yeah.
many, or the action was this way, right? Josh, you and I have for night fishing. You and I and
Yeah,
Trevor
I was
started
going to
doing
say
that
sometimes at night we do that. Yeah.
a good bit because that's when I think it really matters. Again, because you lose more, you miss more at night than you expect to anyway. During the day, I don't know. But for Luann, I don't know. A catch to me is it's in the net or it's in your possession. Anything else, say I lost it. Whether it's after a fishing trip or at a backyard fire, you can bet the Troutbitten crew has a case of New Trail Broken Heels along with us. It's honestly our favorite beer. This hazy IPA is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is a keeper. New Trail beer is proudly brewed in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and delivered cold to your favorite craft beer retailer every week. At New Trail, it's not about being the best angler. It's about getting out there. So enjoy nature's moments and reward yourself for a day well fished with New Trail Broken Heels. It's Troutbitten's favorite beer. Tactical Fly Fisher was founded by Fly Fishing Team USA angler Devin Olson to bring anglers cutting-edge gear and techniques inspired by the World Fly Fishing Championships. Tactical Fly Fisher's goal is to supply you with the latest and best fly fishing gear and to help you learn how to use it through their videos and books. Whether you need flies, fly tying supplies, a new rod or reel, or any other fly fishing equipment, they've got you covered. Check them out at tacticalflyfisher.com and use the code TB15 to get 15% off one order, excluding rods, reels, waders, and boots. Visit tacticalflyfisher.com. Deli.
So I remember, when was it? It was like 2 falls ago
Mm-hmm.
when I had like a couple big streamer days, and I was like, I got like 35, 40 on streamers, and you're like in your hand.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah. I remember the next weekend I took a picture of every one that I caught. I was going to send them to you.
That's a hell of
I
a
was like-
streamer day. That's why I asked that, right?
Yeah. And I was like, and so, yeah, I'm has to be in the net.
Yeah. Or again, if you
Well-
don't use a net, it's in your possession. Again, you could have killed it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You've won.
I've conquered you.
That's right, in a way, yeah. I think it's neat. You guys want to break this down then?
Yeah.
Again, that kind of leads me into saying, like, that's why I started thinking about it that way in the first place. Caught, lost, and missed. And
So
Do you guys keep track of it this way or not?
In my Excel spreadsheet, I keep track of the fish I caught,
Yeah.
but I don't keep track of the fish I lost. During the day, I'll note it.
Mhm.
And I would say when you miss a fish,
Yeah.
who's the guilty party there?
Oh, right. Now that's something I'd love to talk about. Because, I don't know, I miss a lot of fish. I miss them on top. I miss them underneath. I miss them, underneath with streamers, I miss them underneath with nymphs at different rates.
Yeah.
And I think lots of times I'm guilty. Lots of times I think the fish just refused it.
Yeah, I think there's days where I, like, when the fishing is on and I miss a fish, I feel like it's, I don't know, I guess through this whole trials and tribulations, like, I've learned when it's me. And when I'm late, or when I'm late to set the hook, or when I'm not in as good a contact as I need to be, I feel like I can tell it's me, because I like, and if I think about it, right, like, okay, I missed that fish, like, stop and think about it. Did you throw, 10 feet further than you should have?
Yeah.
Did you, what caused you to truly miss that fish?
And you said you were too slow. You might be too fast too. Like Matt, you remember like last summer we did the dry fly skill series, right? And we talked about sometimes you have to let the fish eat it, turn down, and then set. So I found myself just last week being way too fast on a couple fish.
Yeah.
They were eating, kind of they're just eating slow. So I needed to set, just wait. And I still set fast, but not far. But I give them a moment, bam, then I hit them.
I like that. I think I find when I'm missing fish, often my setup isn't accurate, or my angles are off. And not too long ago, I felt like I was missing quite a few fish at the head of shallow riffles because my setup was maybe my tippet section was a little bit too big for kind of how I was fishing and how I wanted to get contact quick. And I was setting the hook late. And I often find that's, if you make minor adjustments there, then you can create a more successful catch rate by making some adjustments. It's not always a late hook set, although sometimes it is. It's not always a quick hook set, although sometimes it is. It's a combination of you were late because my rig was all met. It wasn't set up for the right type of water.
Well, that's how, like, kind of understanding, like, hey, I'm missing fish is going to help to, fix the problem. Like, it's not just luck. We don't assume that very much out there is luck.
In the ITU world, we call it root cause. Like, what's the root cause of the problem?
Yeah, right. Right on. Yeah. If you have one miss, okay, I missed one. If you miss 5 in an hour, you might have a problem. What's your root cause? That's cool, man.
What do you guys, what do you call a foul hooked fish?
Well,
is that caught?
No. Well, if it ends up in a net, I was just going to clarify. Yeah, I said no. It should have an asterisk, I suppose. You know what, though? And if we're fishing even if we're fishing on top, we obviously got their attention. If you foul hook them on top, they came up to eat it, turned away, or you were late on a hook set. It's cool to think about, like, why, even on a nymph, we accidentally foul hook them. I think they usually went for the fly, and I was late on the hook set, or for some reason it wasn't a great hook set.
They ate it. You hooked them in the wrong orifice.
That's right. Not my fault.
You think they spit? Like, if you had the underwater camera, I always imagine them spitting, and then you're still setting that hook right when they spit it. That's why you're catching them in the belly or the fin or whatever.
Yeah, so it's still good data. It's like I said in the intro, like, you still did the primary thing we're trying to do is fool the fish. And I would say probably most times that we foul hook a fish, I don't think it's just luck that you went by one there and snagged it. Our rivers are full of trout, but not that full of trout. I think you fooled them, and then something intangible happened.
Yep, definitely.
And we're talking a lot about nymphing, right? And what we just said. Like, obviously you can have true refusals, like where they come up and they splash, they boil, they inspect the fly, you see it all happen, and then you think they go for it and they refuse it, and you set and they're not there, or they never actually took it. And
I know guys that keep track of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I call a miss. And I
call it like we call it, we had X amount of looks.
Well, and on a streamer,
it's your dry fly or streamer.
Yeah. So we said what a catch is, or at least, we have different opinions, but somewhat similar opinions on what a real actual catch is. So what's a miss then? Just to clarify.
Do you consider if a fish comes up and looks at the streamer and you said early a miss, like you never, like the fish didn't physically, I guess he was approaching to eat it, but did he eat it?
Yeah.
And then you missed.
Yeah, I'd probably call it a miss. I think of certain interest. If I'm positive I got their interest and they tried to eat it, or even if they're about to eat it. Like Bill, the same thing obviously happens on a streamer, right? You are sure that they came and swirled your streamer, probably weren't actually trying to eat it. And let's say that was a missed opportunity. That's kind of the way I think of it. Lots of time I felt the fish too.
Look, sometimes I'll get it. I'll call it a look. Like they look.
That's cool. That's probably more accurate of
like
the way I look at it. Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe they followed it and they just slow follow like the whole way in and never got within a foot of it.
Maybe we should call it a chance,
Yeah. Encounter.
Yeah. Fish encounter.
But often that's how we measure our success when it comes to some days with streamer fishing and dry fly fishing, at least. And I'm saying dry fly fishing out of a boat where you got that upper like viewpoint. You can see a lot of fish coming in like you would streamers when you're like, oh, there's action or there's a look or there's a swipe. That can, when the action's good like that, it can make the day feel a lot more productive than maybe it is.
That's another good reason, I think, to kind of keep at least rough track of those stats. It's encouraging. You're like, well, I got interest or chances or misses, whatever we're calling them. I got that to happen, 5 times in this last hour, but I only put one in the net. That's all right. Things good are happening. Yeah.
And then you start wondering what that, you start layering in other questions. Well, why aren't they committing?
Yeah.
Right. Is it me? Is it the pattern? Is it something I'm doing with my strip or is it something with my drift? It just helps you, strive to try to figure out the puzzle, right?
Yeah. If you think you're getting that interest but not commitment, like you're saying, then I could be, I don't know, thinking about it. Like you said, a number of things. You think pattern first, but I'm often thinking like, how am I drifting it? And you try to change that. I try to think about like what variables can I change? Often on the dry fly, I feel like they're the fewest variables to change. Change the pattern. Yeah, I could skitter it around, but usually my baseline ought to be a dead drift. And if I got a great dead drift, like what else can I change? A lot of times.
Well, you can change the fly.
That's what I mean.
You can change your angle. I think there's a lot.
There's a few.
There's a good bit there, I think. Like you could go to an emerger. You could go.
Good call.
I think there's still a lot to change. I would say you still got 15 variables, let's say, to play with probably.
If we added them up.
What kind of triggers that for you guys? Like, because there's different types of refusals too. You sometimes when I see these brown trout turn around, jet up from the bottom and just boom, nose that fly on a they stop real quick and then they turn it away. I always think it's like a pattern thing or a size thing when that happens.
Size, especially. Too much flash, maybe. My main thing is I think it started to drag a lot of times. Now, if it's a streamer, I don't think it's necessarily drag, but it's a certain movement that they don't like. I think our flies move in weird ways, and that's the main reason for refusal. I've thought about that a lot. I especially think our nymphs, we all nymph a lot, and I especially think that our nymph, we think it's in this great dead drift. It's probably not. And Josh, you said a moment ago how fish are refusing our flies. We see it on dry flies. We see it on streamers. They absolutely refuse nymphs too. I can't say that I've ever seen it that much. I've probably seen it on an egg or a green weenie, something that you could see under there.
If you fish the smaller, like clearer streams, I've seen it a lot more.
That's
like
cool.
where they come over and they're like, fin
like,
you.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of guys that'll say, oh, I missed them. And why am I missing them? I'm like, well, the drift may be imperfect as your fly is approaching the fish. Maybe even they go to open their mouth and just let that nymph drift in, and you're not getting that perfect drift, and it doesn't drift in just precisely. Maybe that's why we foul hook them sometimes too. And I just think it happens a lot. I think nymphing, it's really probably way more common than we think. When I say like, oh, I missed them, the fish probably missed the fly because the drift was, let's say, unpredictable, poor, and therefore unpredictable to the fish. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and with that, like we hear a lot of people say, oh, I missed him, and sometimes we'll say that too. But so much of it, I think, when you're saying, "Oh, I missed him," it's probably because you felt it before you saw it. And if you're waiting to feel the strike before you see the strike, like if you're not in touch with your sighter enough, or whatever your way of watching your drift, if you're not really in touch with it, then you're going to rely on feeling the fish first. And if that's the case, you're going to miss a ton of fish.
That's a good point.
Anytime that I feel like a quick tug, and I set and the fish isn't there anymore, I'm like, well, that there was probably something visual that I missed before I felt that. And to me, that's a missed fish.
Yeah. Or like too much slack had built up.
Yeah, something.
Matt, you were saying like sometimes you'll be adjusting your tippet section or whatever, basically because you feel like you had probably too much slack or too little control.
Too little control.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if you cover the different types of water, sometimes you can't make that that adjustment properly, in my opinion, without snipping a little bit of that tippet section off, right?
Yeah.
Limiting it to 3 feet as opposed to the standard, whatever. If I do 4.5 feet, 5 feet, you just can't get that right contact. And when you get into the early emergence of a hatch, I'll mention sulfurs. Those fish tend to love being at the heads of those riffles early morning before those bugs actually hatch. Where maybe I for the day was planning on nymphing normal, deeper runs and riffles, and I decide, they're really in that 12 to 24 inches of water. Instead of just compensating for that by pulling my sighter a little bit higher into that water or into the air, I find it's so much better to just clip off 12 to 18 inches of that tippet and retie my whole my whole rig.
Yeah.
I think from a nymphing perspective, and even sometimes with dries, that's one of the first things I do is start to shorten things. If I'm, let's say I'm over, 4 or 5 fish missed in a row or something. Sure. I'll start to shorten things up, whether it be maybe my dry fly leaders. I got a little greedy and I made it too long. Same thing with like maybe my nymphs are too far apart. I need to put them closer together, or I need to take some off the sighter. I guess that's my first change is to shorten things up.
Sure. That makes sense. I also will get closer. That's Sloop and I used to talk about it. When things are slow, get closer. It's just a rule for me.
Sure.
I always thinking, like we've talked about, how close can I get? That's I don't care how long I can cast. How close can I get? Because everything tightens up, everything you have less to control then. Much better strike detection.
And stop your drift in front of you too. Like that's the other thing is when you let your drift go down below you and you see you see this all the time if you like spend a bunch of time on YouTube. You see people get their drifts down below them and they're like, I missed him, or he came right off. Well, you're pulling it out of his mouth.
Right, and unpredictable things happen downstream. It doesn't look natural.
Fish in a way that when you do set, you're setting into the mouth,
And that has to do with the streamer angle too. In some of the YouTube videos recently, I've been doing some streamer stuff, and it kind of surprises me actually how many people are like surprised that you fish upstream. I mean, we're not the only ones that fish upstream. Hell, Gallup talks a lot about fishing upstream. Lots of people fish streamers upstream. I'm not saying I'm always wading upstream, but I still prefer to. But my casting angle is upstream, up and across, but I rarely am casting down and across. And Austin and I approached all that kind of discussion in the Winter Streamer Skills series. I'm not going to get into that here, but it's what you said there, Josh, really matters a lot. If the fly is downstream of you, any fly is downstream of you, when you set the hook, it's much harder to get a great hook set. It is. When it's upstream, you have a more reliable hook set. You're pulling back into the fish, and you're going to get a truer hook. You're going to miss fewer fish, I would strongly argue, by fishing upstream. So I want to tell you about Tajima Direct. They make the best polarized lenses on the market. Tajima gives me perfectly clear vision and more detail with less eye strain, so I see more fish. The process is simple. Take a pair of your sunglasses and send them in to Tajima. In short order, you'll get your frames back with your choice of lens tints that are specifically designed for fly fishing. With both prescription and non-prescription, Tajima's patented lens technology results in the best lenses I've ever worn, including every top brand out there. So I wear polarized lenses all day, every day on the water. And I've been rotating in Tajima's brown 15 green mirror for average light days and their yellow-green 40 silver mirror for the cloudy low light days that I love to fish. I can tell you that for me, having Tajima's prescription lenses in the right lens tints has been a game changer. I put my glasses on and I don't think about them again until the end of the trip. Send in your own frames today. Visit tajima-direct.com. That's TAJIMA-direct.com. Upgrade your lenses and see what you've been missing. Since 2006, Yeti has been building products for anglers who fish hard and share an addiction for the woods and the water. Yeti changed the industry with their legendary coolers by featuring rugged but simple designs built to last for generations and stand up to whatever Mother Nature might bring. Yeti now takes that same functional and elegant design to everything in their lineup, from soft coolers to drinkware bags and more. Introducing the Easy Access Ranchero Backpack. It's the latest to join Yeti's lineup of tough-as-nails bags, and it's another part of my fishing gear that keeps me organized and ready on the water. The Ranchero Backpack features a cutting-edge rip-zip opening, so you can quickly tear the bag open to see the gear you need in just seconds. With smart internal organization, there's no more digging through your backpack for tippet spools or fly boxes. And for even more convenience, a handy vertical zipper allows you to grab gear at the bottom without having to unpack from the top. Get in, get out, and get going. Check out the Ranchero line of backpacks at yeti.com or find them at a Yeti retailer store near you.
So here's a question. Do numbers necessarily equate to whether you fished well or not?
Which numbers?
The landing, the catching of fish, like the click.
Clicky, clicky. I think it's the most important metric as far as whether you fished well or not. I need fish agreement. I can walk away from the river saying I fished really well today.
See,
if the very next day I walk away saying I fished really well and I caught a bunch of fish, I think I fished better. It was weller.
I guess I've
better.
had some big number days that I have not felt like I fished well.
Oh, I know what you mean. You got lucky all day.
Like I catch,
too.
or I catch, the dozens of fish that are, small, and I'm like, well, I missed a couple fish, and those were probably the better fish, and that's what. I guess I think of it when I say fished well. Let me give it so you can fish something thoroughly, but it doesn't mean you're going to fish it well. So let's say I have a run. Let's say we'll do the first examples. I fish it thoroughly, but it's not well. So let's say I make 50 casts into this run, but between the first every 10 casts, let's say something happens that causes me to have to stop putting my flies in the water. Whether I hook a tree, whether I break flies off, whether I catch the bottom and I have to move up, like tangle
up or whatever.
And so then I'm wasting time. But I still fished that run thoroughly. I still made all the casts that I needed to. But I guess at this point, let's say I do catch one fish out of that run. But the next run I come to, I don't hang up. I don't change. I don't change any flies. I make, 15 smooth drifts, and maybe I do or I don't catch a fish. But in my mind, I fish that run better, and I'm more at peace with how I fish that run because I'm now I'm big on rhythm. Yeah. If I hit speed bumps along the way that mess up my rhythm, it messes up my day. And eventually, even if the fish are on, I'm still going to catch them, but I'm not going to catch them at the rate I should if I'm in rhythm and I'm fishing well.
What if you did all that and you just weren't fishing the right fly? Would you still and then you left 10 fish on the table because you had a poor fly choice. Would you still think you fished well?
That's a good question. I guess to me, yes, I would, because it's all about, if I'm in that rhythm, I'm more likely to keep fishing longer, and I'm going to go around the next bend. And so I may not catch those 10 fish out of, let's say, 4 runs, but I'm going to fish 10 more runs and I may get 10 more fish. And at the end of the day, I think it does. I guess technically it would add up to more numbers, but some streams that have low density of fish, you're not going to get the numbers.
Point.
Yeah. Well, I've wanted to do a podcast, being in a rhythm, fishing well, whatever we want to call it, but that being in the zone almost, just, that's you. I'm with you, Bill. I love that more than anything. I mean, I can be happy with low numbers, but just not making mistakes.
That's and I guess that's where I'm at. Like, fishing well to me means I don't make mistakes. Let's say I catch 4 fish start at 6 a.m. and fish to noon. But if I have confidence that I fished well, then versus some mornings maybe I'll catch 20 fish, but I'll be frustrated with myself at that same interval, but I have caught like 5 times as many fish.
Back to your original question too, Bill, you said, if you're catching fish, does that mean you fished well? Well, as you were talking there, I was thinking too, my goal might be, to go catch a big one. And maybe I'm using streamers or big nymphs or whatever my strategy might be to go try to catch a big one. I'm cherry picking holes and this and that. And if I don't come out of the day with the story about catching a big one, then I feel like I didn't achieve my goal. And I might have caught 20 fish, but they were all 10 inches, and that's not what I was looking for. That could definitely be like an unsuccessful trip, even though let's say I had decent numbers. So it's not always the metric,
Unless your nickname's Numbers.
Yeah, well then, you just have to go out there and bang the 10 inches.
Then you're pissed. Then you're like, what the hell was I doing?
You don't care about rhythm.
That's when I'm in rhythm. When I'm getting my numbers.
Let me ask you this then: if you're in a good spot and you just caught 4 out of one spot in 5 minutes, are you gonna move, or are you gonna just say, "Man, I'm gonna get 10 out of this spot"?
Depends on the time of year.
Click it 6 more times.
It depends on the time of year in the river. There's some rivers that you can have a feast on numbers in a specific hole, but like coming up when the fish spread out more, I'm I kind of move quick, cover water, get your numbers.
That's part of the enjoyment too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Deli said it though. I mean, you do have to, sometimes the river you're fishing helps set the standard with numbers, because some rivers just aren't, capable of yielding big numbers. So you have to put things into perspective that maybe, 3 fish an hour is quality in certain watersheds, where some with really high fish populations, you're maybe scratching your head a little bit, which is, where I get where if the numbers aren't coming at me and I'm fishing well, but I know the fish population's dense, I still wouldn't be necessarily content in my production that day.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when you start talking about missing fish, though, I know a lot of people think about, hook sharpness and even like wire diameter and things like that. You guys think about that much? If you're missing fish, are you thinking, hey, it must be my hook?
It'll get in my head, and I'll change hook styles, like straight shank versus scud.
Interesting. Which do you feel hooks fish
I don't
better?
know. I feel like it depends on my confidence of the day. Like in the end, it's probably me.
I like straight shank versus scud. I like the scud hook better for hooking. Yeah. Do you guys carry a hook sharpener?
I've got one. I can't tell you the last time I used it.
Do you use it?
Yeah.
That's right. I have one. I rarely use it. I know a lot of guys like, if you're missing it, man, you gotta sharpen up that hook, buff it up, or what do you call it? Touch it up.
I'll start to look at if it's like bent or something. Or,
I'm going to look at it.
If you really think about that, right? Because I find myself wondering the same thing at times, like Deli. Like, it doesn't take me long to be like, wonder if my hook is bent. That's the first thing that comes to mind is the hook shank's bent, which sadly happens.
Or the point just totally comes off.
You've had
that, right?
With some of these
on a barbless,
sharp hooks, does the sharpness of like aid in creating enough friction to keep the hook in the fish's jaw? Or sometimes I'm like, if it's so smooth and barbless, wouldn't that help release it.
I know, and thin.
So what's the difference if it's like, if you're going to penetrate that fish, does the sharpness at the point
that's a really interesting
really help
that fish's
keep that fish on the hook?
With that fish's consent.
Right. I don't see it. Like, I'm trying to figure out the engineering.
Matt, nobody talks about that.
People have been catching fish with a lot.
Nobody ever talks about that.
People are catching arguably similar numbers of fish with a lot worse technology than what we've got now.
I know. I wrote something, or I said something not too long ago, and I had a guy get in touch telling me how I just needed to start using the thin wire diameter hooks, especially on nymphs. He was talking about.
I hate thin wire.
No,
I break that stuff so much.
I know, and that's a thing I don't like about it either. Bend them out. But what Matt is bringing up, I don't think I ever thought about it in that much detail. I don't think we've ever talked about that here. Matt, you bring up something that nobody ever talks about. I'm totally with you. It can go any easier.
Right. Like, what's preventing it
too?
Right. From going out any easier than it went in, which is
no friction.
So I always find pinching my barb, like, and this could be made up in my head, but I often find that, I crimp my barbs, but that little crimp, leftover, to me creates a better, embedment in the fish's mouth and stays on more than the barbless hook. Now, look, you can argue what it does to the fish's mouth. I get it, right? But I hate to tell people that from 1930 to 2010, I think the fish did okay with mustad crimped, hooks, but whatever. I just think that that sharpness is sometimes overrated.
Well, what about penetration? Do you think you can get as good a penetration with your thicker wire?
I think it you'd think
it depends. Oh man, there's
set the damn hook. Don't just lift. That's set the hook.
It's a soft.
Be fine.
You're going into something pretty soft. Just actually set it.
But
set the hook.
This is a whole podcast in itself.
I know.
You've got like the fish size. If it's a really big fish, the hook diameter, the rod type, the rod flex, the tippet, the leader, like all this stuff generates speed and physics and
stretches
do things
and flexes. Yeah.
So there's so much to it.
There is.
I will sharpen my streamers and some of my
that's me too.
And some of my bigger nymphs when I like flatten it out, like I give it the fingernail test.
Right. Yeah. You want to tell everybody what that is?
Just you take the hook at an angle and you basically if it starts to go into your fingernail, it's sharp enough. Yeah. If it doesn't, then I start to sharpen it.
Yeah, scrape it across the fingernail. If it leaves a mark, then you got a sharp enough hook.
I kind of pulled into my lip a little bit and see if it is this gonna stay in? Is it gonna pop back out? Does it hurt?
See, I don't go that far.
No, you got to start thinking like a fish.
If I miss too many, I get out the triple barbed hooks.
That'd be a good A/B testing. Is to take 4 guys in the water with the same sharpness of a nymph hook and cast. And see how many casts it takes to dull it out to see if it's even relevant. You know what I mean? Like, because those hooks are smashing off of rocks pretty consistently, and you're hooking into tree bark, and how quickly do those hooks get dull, or maybe they don't, right? Or what companies have longer strength or sharpness than others, and you could go on and on about this.
You really could. Yeah, we could catch up with that topic. With a full podcast. We'll do a skills series on just
there. You go.
All hooks.
How to set the hook.
So what else do you guys look for? Like if you're losing them during the fight, like we all said.
Oh, if you're losing,
so let's say you're losing the fish after you hooked them during a fight.
If that's right, if you're slooping the fish, then
it's like you hooked the fish, it came unbuttoned somewhere between hook set and net, and it keeps happening. Like what else do you guys look for?
I don't know. I need answers because it's happened to me with like 3 consecutive fish around 20 inches, like mid-foot.
You were telling us about that. You said you've had a bad year for losing big fish.
Yeah, it's like 3. I'm on 3 in a row now. The one took me into a log jam, so broke me off. The other 2, like they ate pretty close to on, like just a little after the drift. I set the hook good, and they just came back through the hole, and they just rose up, and then the hook just came straight out.
I got a quick thought on this. It's hard to land a big fish on camera because I start babying them. I just mean like I'm afraid to make a mistake, right? Like, I really want to land this. I'd like to get this on camera.
Here's the opportunity.
Yeah, and there's a certain opportunity there, and then I change the way I would just normally fight the fish. Yeah, whatever. I don't feel like I lose too many. And Bill, you don't lose many either. You're just in a weird, 3 isn't that many. I mean, 3 in a row, right? You're probably going to land the next 30. You know what I mean? It's not like you have a history of losing big fish.
Yeah, but now it's in my head.
That's what I'm saying.
I got the yips.
Exactly.
I got the yips.
That's what it is. Now, that honestly, I'm telling you, I think that's what it is. Usually I think it's our fault if we lose them. Put it this way. If you get the hook in a fish and you have it on for, let's say, 5 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds, usually if you lose them after that, then I think it's user error. Nothing's 100%. I'm saying 80% of the time, it's probably user error. If you only have them on for like 2 or 3 seconds, then you probably just didn't get a good hook set, and maybe it's just in the side, a little bit of skin, grabbing a little bit of skin, you put real pressure on it and it slips out. Like that makes sense. It's almost a missed fish, but I guess it's lost because you had them on for a couple seconds. Smith Creek has always been about practical, durable gear. And this season, they've added 2 more products to the lineup. Smith Creek's Wade Soft EVA wading belt is soft, flexible, and built to move with you, not against you. It cinches down without pinching and holds your gear steady with a tough Duraflex buckle and accessory clip. And if you're looking for an all-purpose carrying knife, Smith Creek's new Pike Tooth Knife Kit delivers. The Japanese steel blade comes razor sharp right out of the box, precise enough for streamside tasks and tough enough for camp chores. It includes a Waterstone, wrist lanyard, and a rugged neoprene sheath that's ready for trail, stream, or camping. So whether you're rigging up or dressing down, Smith Creek's got you covered. Like so many other Smith Creek products, the Wade Soft Wading Belt and the Pike Tooth Knife Kit have found a permanent home in my own fishing kit. Learn more at smithcreek.co. Hey, this episode is supported by Trident Fly Fishing. Trident is one of the best fly shops in the United States. With over 30,000 fly fishing and fly tying products in stock, they have everything an angler needs, and they ship fast. Trident also has a huge selection of Euro nymphing supplies, from rods and reels, leaders and sighters, beadhead nymphs, tactical hooks, and tungsten beads. And all orders over $49 ship for free. So for a limited time, Trident is offering Troutbitten listeners 10% off their order. Just use the code Troutbitten in all caps at checkout. Visit tridentflyfishing.com and fill up your cart.
Bill, did you have a bunch of head shakes?
No, I guess I'm the last 2 were almost the same scenario. Big deep run there at the top. And to be honest, I think if I could change anything, I think it would be my rod angle. Like I was, because it was a deeper run, I was trying to pull up, to get them out of the run, and versus if I was pulling, had my rod more parallel to the water, that's probably what I would change.
I think that's a fun thing.
You hooked him in the mouth. Well, I just
as
but
opposed
back
to
to
the
like
other orifice?
sometimes when you think you missed or you lost the fish, like did you foul hook it?
The one I actually saw, it came up and opened its mouth, and then the fly shot out. Okay.
Yeah.
The other one was, I think, a good bit bigger, and I didn't get a good look at where it was hooked, but I felt the head shakes on that one.
You could read up on the habits of fall fish, and maybe that'll help you understand why you're losing those big fall fish. When they're stocked too, they have a softer mouth.
That could be why. Yeah.
So,
Were you nymphing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go back to that, the leader length and tippet length and stretch and all that as well. Like if you've got a short and stiff situation, then it's going to be a lot easier for them to. It's going to absorb less of the shock of like a head shake or something. Get out of here. If you got a situation down there in the water,
you get out of here.
I don't know that there's anybody out there that doesn't have your experience, Bill, right? Like if you're fishing long and hard enough, like you're going to miss your 20s. Like, and whether that's
and lose them.
Yeah. Bad hook set, different angle, or just when it gets to that zone and that level of fish, I often think they have a little bit more creativity to spit the hook. And we lack often as fishermen, we don't give that trout enough credit that, sometimes they're sneaky little creatures, right? They kind of, they could know what they're doing when it comes to those hook shakes and trying to spit that thing. So it could be a combination of a lot of different things and a bad luck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Sometimes the fish just wins.
Yeah, for sure. My buddy Rich Alcipi,
like they've done it a lot of times.
From so many years ago, Rich used to say, like, oh, we all have a story about losing the biggest fish of our life. And he said, when you get any big fish on it, challenges everything about your rig. Your skills, yes, but like your tackle, obviously. Even your wading skills if you got to move around and get it. And just luck. And it takes kind of all those things to put them in the net. And the big fish, like you said, Matt, they got more advantage, more experience, more strength. They know the area better than the smaller fish, They win sometimes. You guys want to get out of here? Josh Darling, will you read us out?
Remember, the Troutbitten Project is a free resource for all anglers. The Troutbitten website hosts over 1,500 articles, videos, and podcasts with endless stories, commentaries, tactics, tips, and more. Find what you like through the top menu and through the search page. Navigate by way of the categories and tags, too. Be sure to find the Troutbitten YouTube channel, now featuring the Troutbitten Tips series, Fly Fishing the Mono Rig, and the Troutbitten Fly Box, all in collaboration with Wilds Media. You'll also find the fish and film videos and the new Riverside series, all in their own playlists on the Troutbitten YouTube. Thank you for listening to the Troutbitten Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and leave a comment, because that really helps. Until next time, friends, fish hard, enjoy the day, and find your life on the water.
Ooh, generous pause.